welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Jamie and today we are going to do a kids declutter. So if you hear some noises, the kids are playing upstairs. I'm wanting to give you a few tips I've learned through decluttering with my children and I hope it's going to be super helpful. I also decided to film the process of actually decluttering. It's not going to be aesthetically pleasing. We're all just doing it early in the morning, but it's going to be very real. 2 videos back I did a video on decluttering my toddler's playroom and his toys and organizing those. So if you're wanting to see that, I will link it up here. And today we're actually going to go through the older boys' bedroom. So they are 10 and 8. And something that I found recently is that they don't play with their toys anymore. Not that they don't like to play, but I found that with all the clutter that's going on, they just don't. This might sound a little bit strange with my word selection. It is what it is, but in my opinion, my children have 2 jobs. The first one is always to play and the second one is to obey. And I found that with all this extra clutter, they actually play a lot less and they also obey a lot less in a cluttered environment. So if you are in that situation, I hope that this video will really help. We found they gravitate so much to screens, to their Xbox, pads, etc. because we do have those. And even though we try to limit it, it's really hard. When we try to suggest playing with toys, they just haven't really been wanting to do that. But after we did this declutter, it's all completely changed. They haven't actually been on the Xbox at all for a week, like not even touched it or turned it on. That's a big deal in our family. And I think I might touch a little bit more on screen time and what we've been doing. We've got rid of our TV, but we do still have screens, and it all started with kind of my own journey reducing screen time. So if you're wanting to see that in a future video, or if you're interested on that journey, do give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. So I highly encourage that you grab yourself a drink. I've got my latte here because I'm definitely needing it right now. And if you are wanting to declutter at the same time and leave this video running in the background, that is completely fine. And I must mention we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, guys. You have been so supportive and so lovely. I just get the best comments. So thank you so much for everything that you have been doing to encourage and support me and keep me making this content. It's absolutely heartwarming and I appreciate you so much. But without further ado, let's jump in. There are a couple of points that I do really want to touch on in the sequence of how we decluttered. The first tip that I have is to get a visual of the task ahead. So if, like me, you are decluttering your child's bedroom, go in there and have a look where everything is, because there are probably wardrobes or storage areas even under the bed, bedside tables that you haven't actually looked at for a long time. You can mentally categorize where things are. You don't need to remove anything here and now, but if you do, focus on any trash that's lying around, right? And that will make a big difference, but I will touch on this in a little bit. So get a visual ahead of time about the tasks that you are dealing with, because you know your children better than anyone else and you know what kind of items that they will gravitate towards, and you know the kind of items that they don't actually need to waste their precious brain power on making decisions. And to make it easier for them, it's all to focus on what the next hour or so of decluttering that you're going to do will look like. So set some time aside and really focus on reducing their decision fatigue all throughout. This will mean that you can declutter for longer. If you can only do 10 minutes, that's great. It all depends on the age of your children and what you can get through, but we managed to get through their whole room, and a lot of that process revolved around me kind of sneakily moving away items that they don't really need to brain on. The second tips might seem obvious, but establish what you're doing with your children. Like, we are decluttering. They might have seen you declutter areas before, but they might never have done it before. This is only the second time we did it, and I did a video on my main channel that's more about finances and cash budgeting now. So I think it was a Vlogmas when we did our first declutter, and this time, even though it's been like 2.5 years, they remembered this. They remembered what decluttering was. So when I said the word, they knew exactly what the task at hand was. But if your children have never done it before, or if they've seen you do it, it's worth saying we are decluttering. You can explain what it is, but most of all, why you're doing this. Like, why are we doing this? For me, it's like, hey guys, you're not really playing with your toys. You know you aren't, and at this point, I think it's really worth it letting things go, because we're picking up all these things that we don't actually use. Do you enjoy playing with all these toys at the moment? They said no, and they knew what the task at hand was for. The next tip is to grab your tools and lay out the land. Now, this is laying out what the order is going to be of decluttering. It might seem really complicated, but actually the more simple you make it for your children to do this process, the easier it's going to be. Come on, Auntie, you're gonna help me get a bin bag? We need a black bin bag for anything that is rubbish that's just lying around the floor. We'll need that big box for things that are going. So we're going to use Max's bed closest to their door to put things which are going, and then Johnson's bed, things that they actually do want to keep. So that will give it a nice visual division and system for the kids to see. I've got a big roll of bin bag. Make a visual system. It needs to be simple, not Pinterest worthy. It can be a great idea to do things like getting some nice bins if you have multiple children, or even for one child, label them with a name, make a fun process of it. But for us, it's more go and get through this, starting to do other things and taking away from the task at hand would have got the children's brains kind of involved in other things. But if you feel like that will work for you, that could be a fantastic thing to try to get them excited about their sort of selection of things. Especially since I have 3 boys in this house, I do find that it's really worth keeping things simple. They do not care about aesthetically pleasing things at all. I am outnumbered. I am the only woman here, and I'm the only one who cares about the way anything looks ever. So keeping it simple will help them not dawdle around and keep them focused on the task at hand. Now, the next tip is to really establish what your task is. Your task as a mum or a dad or, parent, you who are literally leading this task, your specific task will be to tidy passively. Okay, remove any rubbish, and I did mention this previously, but as you go, you might uncover laundry, discover more rubbish, and basically what I focused on was to remove those things from around the room, any areas they happen to have been thrown into, but also any electronics, because most of the electronics, like the pads, etc., are things that they would actually just pause at and be like, oh, shall we keep this? Yes, we are keeping this, but really they are keeping it. Remove those, put them all away, whether that is remotes, cables, anything extra like that belong together. If you just gather them together as you see them, your child don't even need to be thinking about them. That's a good idea as well, to kind of keep them out of the way as you're decluttering. And this can probably work for a few different categories, but you only know your child, your home, this particular room the best. So now we are moving into the actual decluttering. To start off, I highly recommend asking a simple questions that really navigate or sets the task at hand. When it comes to a lot of children, you don't want to ask like close-ended questions where you get a yes or no answer, but in this case you do. You want a yes or no answer. This will kind of switch the brain over to the type of decision that they do need to be making. So let's roll the clip for just a little bit of an example of what this was. It's nothing revolutionary, but you can see it in action. I presume that any teddies and any pads are being kept, so I can just grab teddies and pads.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Because they're all being kept. We are never getting rid of the teddies. Well, some toys, yeah, we are going to get rid of some of the toys. We're going to put the toys we don't want in the box.
Yes. So once you help them with switching the brain over into the decision-making mode, let's move on to the next tip. This is still in the beginning stages, and the next thing you're going to do is find something that is easy to let go of. If you can find something that is broken, if there is a broken item, and they can simply say this goes into the trash or the donation bins. So anything that's broken, for starters. Do you want to put the first thing in the box? Ta-da! What we did was we had a specific black trash bag, which will be for actual rubbish. We had one box where we just put anything that we know, whether it were kind of broken or not. I could always go through this after and do sort of donations, but with children, it's too much to think about. Do I want to give this away to somebody? or is it not worth giving away? Like, that's adding extra kind of thoughts into their mind, especially if your child is someone who don't particularly know about donating things yet. You, by all means, if you want to make this as involved with your children as possible, as easy as possible, having them make all the decision, this is another task for you, and you can deal with this at any other point. So we just put everything into one bin. And the first thing to go in that bin again is something that may be broken, something that has missing pieces, or something that is genuinely not fit for play, that they can say no to. Caffeine break. So at this point, you will have explained what the process is. You would have given them an easy question they can say yes or no to. You would have started with an item that they can easily say no to, like a broken or missing piece. Now it's about streamlining that mindset a little bit more with some reassurance, and a great way to do that is, of course, the value of an item. My oldest, at one point throughout this declutter, I don't know if I keep it in this video, but he goes, I spent so much money on this. So that might be something an older child or any child might think about if they have been using their own money, or if they kind of are good with the value of items. But it could also be very personal, of course, decluttering their toys. There can be so many struggles and so many stumbling blocks. So I might make a video about that in the future. For now, I want you to really help them navigate those feelings quickly over the value of items, and to make this process make sense. Okay, and there's one really easy way to do this. So let's roll the clip and see if you can actually hear what we say.
Hunter might use for hair.
Yeah, like things like this for £2, it's probably worth getting rid of it and spending £2 to get it if we really need to, than having it clutter up your wardrobe and you have to pick it up a minute. I'm gonna put this in like now as well.
Yes, I don't want this anymore.
So in this clip, of course, it was the value of a particular item versus what it would kind of cost to replace it and handling. So we talk a lot in kind of minimalism and decluttering about inventory. So once you buy an item, you don't just buy it, you have to tend to that item. It is part of your overall inventory in your house, whether that means like cleaning it, repairing it, shuffling it around. If you're not really using it, you come across it, you're handling this item. That directly translates to a lot more time you are spending than just simply using it. That time of handling an item, if you have lots of items, really do add up. So not just for us mums that have to tidy them up and clean them and put them away or whatever else we end up doing, it does work the same for children, especially as most of the time they might just grab an item and handle it for a little bit because it's there, or move it to get something else. But when it comes to this particular time, Max, my eldest son, asked a question about this kind of dry erase math book that is super old. I think we've had it maybe since he was little, so probably at least 8 years. I don't know why we still have this specific one, but it keeps on kind of following us around. So Lord only knows how many times we have handled this and not actually used it. Now, the sticker's still on it. It was £2, you guys. Letting your children know when they're faced with this type of thing, it's like, hey, this was £2. I am happy to replace it if you really feel like you need it in the future. Maybe not quite say like that, actually. Have it come across that certain items, especially if your children are older, aren't worth keeping for the sake of keeping them. We can always replace them for this particular value if we should need to, and then they can happily let that go. You might see as you start to declutter, these couple of things really work and make them do this more independently, because now they know that they can let things go that kind of aren't that useful anyway, or items that they don't feel that great about, that are essentially just excess inventory. This is great for the future. If you have children, you'll always have inventory coming in, whether that is from you, from family, from friends, birthdays, Christmas, holidays, someone has a tantrum in the supermarket. You're gonna end up with extra things. Your children already having these kind of either values or questions or thoughts in their head that they actually may not have had before can really help you from now on out. So making value of items and inventory, the process of actually getting them makes sense according to the value of actually handling items, is really key. So another thing that you can do is do a little bit of narration in the background so that they know that you are doing something too, like, hey, I am putting the rubbish away, oh, I'm putting the pads over here, here. They know that you are actively doing something with them. Your pad on your bed, kind of, it's charging. Pick up some rubbish and put it in the bin bag while you guys do this. When you say things, focus on just mentioning what you are doing, not what they are doing, because then they will need to stop and essentially engage with that, which can break a very important trail of thought that they are having as they're trying to get into this decision-making process, which is kind of like the next tip. So little narration is great. It helps them kind of stay on track. They know that the process is still ongoing. But the next key is to just make sure that they are aware of your presence, and action. You are doing this together. This is a task that you are doing together, and your job is to respond, not for them to respond to you. So you are responding to their questions or thoughts in few words to just have a little helpful nudge in the right direction. From here on out, your basic job is now, when you've established a few things, is to respond with as few words as possible and showing them the process through your actions, which gives them kind of the sense and feeling and permission to go off and do the same with whatever section they are working on. Here's the bottom for that broken.
We may have found Max and still wondering where Robbie is. Hope that one day we'll find Robbie.
Okay, who is Robbie? I genuinely don't know who Robbie is, and I'm not sure that we found him. But in all serious note, like I said, listen to your children, respond, but also just keep your eyes and ears open for other little things that they might be saying and thinking as they are decluttering, thinking about toys or reminiscing. This is a great opportunity to actually bond with your children and really get a sense of where they are currently in this season of life, how they are feeling about things, because chances are, if things have got away from them, if toys have got away from them, if there are other things kind of going on and they are playing not like they were when they had like some of these toys to begin with a year to 5 years ago, they might be changing a lot more on the inside, and this is such a great time to spend together and really kind of affirm that, or really listen out for things they might be thinking or saying, because they are very good at thinking and saying out loud when they are doing something like, well, they might be shouting at screens as well, but if they're not, when they are doing something sort of active like decluttering and having their brain go, they do tend to process things out loud quite often. So listen into that, tune into your children, reconnect with the current season that they're in, their thoughts and their feelings. You don't need to respond to everything that you hear. In fact, try not to respond at all if they are just having an out loud thought. Don't interrupt the flow. Just make a mental note to talk to them about it later and say, hey, at this point you were thinking about this, what is that about? And then just continue the conversation after the task at hand is finished. So make a mental note to just ask them later. And I think I mentioned this later, but one thought that my oldest child had ahead of time was, I spend my money on this. Of course, every child will have different kind of thoughts cropping up, but that can be something really good to talk about later. Either respond in the moment if you want to, but if you can take the time to just think about a good response after that is in line with this task or the direction of the season in life that you're in as a family, that would be a really, really good thing to do. So you might not be very far into the decluttering at this point. You are all just kind of getting your feet in, but be encouraging. So always continue to be encouraging throughout this process and kind of point out the progress that you're making. Fill this box, fill this one already in like 2 minutes. For example, we're only 2 minutes in, we've already filled this box this much. I wonder if we can fill the whole box today, or I wonder if we can do half of it, you know. Anything encouraging like that, just quick little notes, keep it as like encouraging light as you can. Remember to give that kind of encouragement as well. Try and stay focused on your goal here. You're not the one decluttering, you are just kind of managing and keeping things going and being supportive of your children and their choices. I found that a lot of the things that they kept have been things if I went through, I would have got rid of. Okay, I would have kept like so many other things. They ended up getting rid of so many books, but they made a decision to keep specific ones that they would actually read now. That's again great. It's their choice, and they've sat down since then and read. Okay, they hadn't been reading for quite a while this year, so that is fantastic. But I wouldn't have kept those specific books. I would have probably kept all of the books and got rid of a bunch of other stuff, you know, but that is not for me to do. I'm not the one doing this declutter. I am helping them do this declutter. The goal, of course, is to end up with the selection of toys and items that they enjoy, that they love, and of course for it to be a manageable inventory for you. The next tip is to really hone in on one section at a time. So for example, when I'm decluttering, I go all over the place as quickly as I can. You know, it's a different thing. I do have a quite strong decluttering muscles, not strong physical muscles, but strong decluttering muscles at this point. My children do not, and I should not expect them to have. However, I'm someone who can do that. That is just my personality. And yes, my children are very different, but stop them from kind of dawdling. I don't know if that's a word, but I keep using it. And be encouraging. Hey, I can learn a lot from you guys. Really decluttering in one space at a time, that is a good thing. I'm all over the place. You are doing great. This is fantastic. You know, encourage them in this sense. I can learn a lot from you guys. Just the fact that you naturally just went and focused on one space. When I try to do this, I'm all over the place and it's so much harder.
It's on one space at a time. Not this.
Can I have that one? It is very natural for children to focus on one area, and I think that sometimes as adults we have just kind of got into the habit of not doing that. But there is really something about being able to focus on one thing and do it well. So focus on getting your ace, not your two half aces. Could be like a good one to live by sometimes, I think. In this case, if your children are really focused on one area, yeah, you can like move them on, but don't stress them. There's no rush. If they get that one area done and they do it well, and that's keeping their mind in it, let them do that. And once that's finished, you can then kind of move them on and pick the next area to guide them that way. But let them be the leaders of the pace and the leaders of the space. Do a bit of a rubbish check. So I think this makes sense already, but remove anything extra clutter, anything that can take away from their kind of attention and the thought process in dealing with this clutter. Have you got loads of rubbish?
Yeah. Yes, a bunch of rubbish. And why the nails?
I don't know, but we don't need them. But anything that they don't have to make decisions about, again, just make a mental reminder to just keep doing that. Do your rubbish check. Decluttering, especially like as a woman, I feel can get quite overwhelming because you get told you can't clean. You should declutter first, then you should clean, then you should organize, and it's just too many steps. Whereas this is actually an opportunity to do it all. They're doing the decluttering and you're kind of moving the toys into categories if you can as you go to make it easier to then later put back or into specific bins or into specific boxes. The organization can happen naturally as well as possible. You can always go back in at some later point, but pretty naturally. And then you're kind of cleaning up areas that might have been covered with all this clutter for a long time as you go. That is your job. Again, do your rubbish check, and by the end of this, when you're all feeling like you're done, it won't just be decluttered, it would also be cleaner and more organized. And remind yourself of your goal to make the process simple for your kids. Now, in terms of simple and simplifying, can we simplify the current space they're working on to make it less overstimulating? So for example, the kids were working in the bottom shelf of the wardrobe, but there was still a lot of items, different boxes and things scattered around the bottom of the wardrobe, around the boxes. Put it here. And if there's rubbish, put it in here. If there's like toys in here. And then if there's something you're keeping, just put it straight behind it on the bed.
Keeping this, even though it's how we can just get new ones.
So then if there's anything that's rubbish, put it in there. Your mouth is. Can you see any more rubbish? put any rubbish in there, Hunter. So to simplify and not to make it all kind of overwhelming and overstimulating for them to navigate this, I ended up taking one box out that they were going to work on and putting it on the bed. They had no other items around it apart from the box with the no items that they could easily put things in, the rubbish bag, and then anything they were keeping they could easily just turn around and put it on the opposite bed where all items they wanted to keep were. And that made it simple. If you spot anything that you can kind of simplify in the process, do so. Take out the box, move it to a less cluttered area. Reiterate the process in as few words as possible. Go rubbish here, keep there, items you're letting go there. And I think for the rest of it really comes down to keeping your focus. Biggest kind of thing, takeaway here, tip, whatever we want to call it, is to trust them. Trust your children to do the task at hand. Trust them in getting it done. Trust them to know what they actually do want to keep, because that is the main goal of this process. You know what you play with?
We play with nothing. We just play with most of the Legos that we play with. All the mimosas have to go back.
In here, is there anything you need to keep?
We found it.
Okay, nothing else?
Wait, I'll check. Definitely. Wait, yeah.
I'm sure we have more dice.
I don't want to lose anything. Well, we're not. Well, yeah, we'll keep.
Thank you, Hunter, for fixing it.
We're not keeping the creeper one though. It's very laggy.
See, now we have a clear box and you can use that to put things that you are keeping.
Keep it. We're keeping the Chaos Emerald.
Who's among us? Do you want to keep it?
You don't.
Are you okay? Jen starts pulling books out.
Yeah, we said we were going to Sunday.
All of them?
From the Marvel.
The tiny ones?
Yeah, the tiny square.
Hunter,
We're keeping
you
this.
like the Quentin Blake books? These are a set of Quentin Blake books. Would you put it downstairs by the bookshelf? Thank you so much. And again, books is kind of those things, if we really want something, buying one new book isn't. Do you want to keep the Lego build book?
No.
No, because you free build anyway, don't you?
Yeah, we free build.
You're very good at that, right?
Free building's the easiest. Yeah, we're keeping these. The 13th century house. Oh, the hat though. Well, I'm keeping the hat because I like it, and mine, because you never know when it will come in handy.
So these are the books you're keeping, yeah? Put them in here too.
Mommy,
yes. Oh yeah, wow. Oh look, we've got another empty box.
Mommy!
Good job, guys.
Wow!
All of this is going. Thank you, Hunter. Hunter, could you pour this in this box?
Wait, not
It's
yet.
alright. Could you pour out this box? Thank you. And then we'll put it over here.
It's good we're keeping this. So we're putting it here. Oh! Mommy!
Put it in this. For example, I said the sentence, you know what you play with, and that's just reiterating again the thought of why we are doing this and what their role in this is. Like, it is not for me, it is for you. You know what you play with. That's the items that you can kind of put your main focus on, and if you find the items that you don't play with, it's gotta go. If you get a response like, we play with nothing, ha ha ha. In this case, it was kind of true because my children, like I said, they've started playing a lot less, almost next to nothing with their toys because they were in a cluttered environment. And if you do go through this and this process, I almost 100% guarantee you that they will play more. Whatever kind of level of play they're currently having, they can play more with the items that they love, that they enjoy, that are not tucked away amongst a million other things that they don't. So at a certain point, it can get a little bit too overwhelming for the children and yourself as well. Have a snack break, have some time away playing, perhaps away from this specific rib, and say we're coming back to it later. Let's have a break, let's have some fun. So if you look at what you have left behind you, plus the Lego, what would you put in your treasure box?
2, 1.
What's your footing?
Hunter, go on. We're gonna play with Hunter.
Grab some snacks, grab some drink, get that kind of fuel in you to just finish off the rest. But hopefully by now you would have actually managed to get through the bulk of your items or your children's items, and you can at least see kind of the light at the end of this tunnel that you may not have been able to see before because of all the clutter. Most of all, please do remember to have fun. When the main decluttering had happened, there were maybe a few items. Of course, I took that up on myself to kind of lead the process. The kids could have a little bit of a mental break again from making the decisions. I decided to make things a lot more simple with books, for example, and once I decided to get rid of the bulk of the books, the ones that were left, I helped them, and I decided to pick 2 items at a time and hold them up and be like this one or this one, and they could just point and say yes, no. It ended up being a fun game.
It's going to be really fun.
Should we get rid of it?
No, not yet. You never know. Sometimes you change your mind.
Today, now sit on the
Want me to do the back?
That's messy. Look at that.
Where's this going?
Here. That's not fucking in the bin.
No, it's not in the bin. It's over there. These things in this one.
Yeah, we're getting to the guys.
All of them in there.
Yes.
Jens, what about these books?
I think we maybe should.
Would you read any of these 2? Max, would you read any of these 2?
To read on my dad and I hated it.
What about these 2?
No.
Yeah.
These 2?
The other one, no.
That one now.
We're gonna do some quiz. Yes, no. Well, actually, yes. Both of them, yes. This is a really good
Llama drama, beast.
llama drama. I don't think so.
Right, we have to choose one last one.
Mommy, look! That one, yes. That one, no.
No.
Like how you're pretty much on the same page.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And he said yes by accident.
Yes.
Max, it can.
Yes.
Yes, koala kilometer. You snooze, you lose.
No.
No, this one goes in here. They said no. And if your children are looting, they might be looting around, but they may also be losing some motivation after a little bit. Get that moving, make it fun, make some giggles, make some funny noises, silly voices. You can see that it can get a lot further. A game of a countdown to get as much out as possible. As you get into kind of the last bit of that box, we'll just pick them right up. Okay, how quickly? I'm going to count to 10, see how many things you can get rid of.
We're getting rid of one.
I'm going to count down from 10. Okay, well then you know where they need to go. 10,
Except for this.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
I can't believe it.
2, 1. Are you almost finished?
Almost. Oh no, it hit the barrier. We died.
Okay, well I'll do a 10 start over. 10, 9, 8. Watch out, Hunter. Go over here. 6, 5, 4. Hunter, grab things. Put them in the box quickly. 3, 2, 1.5. 1, 0. And then we're pressing the stop button.
Uno reverse. Now it's back at 10.
We might have to wait with hide and seek a minute, Hunter. And that's a really, really good one to do. Count down from a certain number if you can remember to count, or if you're having too much fun yourself, getting distracted, or you're just bad at math. Like, I'm not here to judge. This is a judgment-free zone. We are doing this together, and we're doing this with our children and their best interest and our best interest for our sanity in mind. So once it's all done and decluttered, you have your rubbish to go, you've got your box of things that are going, it's all looking great, you have your items that you are keeping, they might be a little bit over the place. You can take a moment to just organize that, to put them into like a system that makes more sense, move things over a little bit, and then of course put them back. Okay, don't leave things lying out around if you can help it. You guys have done so well.
It's a goon. That's a true.
Have you got all the stuff under the bed, yeah? Would you double check under the bed? So we don't have to do it again. There's a piece under the bed. Have you got it?
I'm trying to help you. You'll fix it. That piece in here. What is life, Mum? And what is death? The only path to life.
In this box.
Whoa.
I think I need like a little compartment for all your like little bits. Okay, are you guys finished?
Hunter, you want the Spider-Man mask? Why? So you can be Spider-Man. Why? Look, you've got the Spider-Man costume, so do you want the mask?
Put it under one hand.
It might not fit.
You need to get the eyes ready.
Oh, I can see Hunter's eyes. Hunter!
Can you
Now
see?
people can't poke his eyes.
Can you see? Can you see? Can you breathe?
Gloves. Look. Get
There's one.
this way.
Are you finished with these, yeah?
No.
Are you keeping this box?
Yes. Yes, because there's Legos in it. It's opposite day today. So whatever you say, can you not help us find a school? Yeah. No.
Put them back. You could always revisit it if it didn't go as way as you would have hoped, but to be honest, it really should have. For it to go as great as you have hoped, I would actually lastly recommend to not really have high expectations. I didn't go in with any particular expectations of how far we'd get. I honestly thought in the very beginning that I would start them on the process and then have to finish it off myself. I could not have been more wrong. It was messy, there were laughs, there were like probably tears at some point, but all in all, sorry I saw my chicken poking set up. All in all, it blew my mind. They did fantastic and your child can too. Before you put things back though, this is your chance as they're kind of like doing a few things and you're starting to get quite a few areas sort of decluttered. Go in, give things a little wipe, a little clean, tidy things up, make it look kind of neater. Everyone's going to start to feel a lot better about seeing the visual sort of impact of what they have achieved so far. They still have a few things to go through that will really help and they can feel that things are coming together, things are being wrapped up. So it's looking a lot better in here. I just don't know where the kids have gone. Hello, where are you? Are they in here? Are they in here? Oh, I can hear something.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have fun. Hello. So once everything is back, give them a big squeeze, a big hug, give them some encouragement, say well done, tell them how proud you are for what they've done. They did this, okay? They did it themselves. They made so many great decisions that are really going to help them. And look at all of these toys you have to play with. Toys and items and things that you love, that you want to keep. These are all yours. Most of all, you'd be surprised at how much fun they will find having more space to be creative and to run around in. Because at the end of the day, I think the best thing we can give our children is the time and the space to connect, meet them in the season they're in, to listen, make sure that they have the things around them that don't overstimulate them, that don't overwhelm them, that aren't broken and damaged. Give them the best of things that they love. Most of all, give them you, give them your time, give them the space to laugh, to have fun, and to use their imagination as much as they can. Children are a blessing from the Lord and they deserve to be treated like the blessing that they are, and I hope you enjoy this video. I want to send all our blessings to you and yours for this week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing, blessed and wonderful week. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps my channel out and I will see you in my next video.